EVS. Today here at EVS, my name is Steve, and as always, very happy to have you here with us today. Today our topic is resilience, that ability just to overcome obstacles, overcome the unexpected stressors that are part of living in the world that we live in. And I think it would be a very fair thing to say that you don't have to look too far to find those stressors, not only in our life, but in those that we know, those that we love, those that we read in the news and so forth. And it seems to be one of those times where there is a lot that is out there that seems almost insurmountable as far as the challenges that lay before all of us, really in a certain kind of way in the bigger picture of things. So today the idea is resilience, and what is that, and how does that work? And I always think of it as the idea that I may fall 100 times, but I get up 101. So it's not the fear of falling, because I know just because I'm here on planet Earth that I'm going to make mistakes. I'm not going to get things right. I'm going to think I'm doing really well, then I mess up and do something really weird or off the wall, God, all the things that we do, my ego gets in the way, my pride gets in the way, my insecurities pop up every now and then. And these are all very natural reactions to the path that we walk. You know, it's just a matter of you run into these things, and that you stumble every once in a while. You're going to stumble. It is anticipated. It is expected. It is part of the game plan, in a sense, that we are going to be challenged, and we're going to face adversities, and that we are going to find a way to overcome these kind of adversities. And as a result of practicing that skill set over and over and over again, we build up a sense of resilience, that ability just to kind of keep bouncing back, that ability just to hold focus a little bit, even through the most difficult times, even through the things that we don't anticipate and that are hard, and the things that we do anticipate that are hard. We just maintain that ability just to hold focus and keep at it, and just kind of keep at it. So what does this mean for the meditation practice, right? I think it would be fair to say that if you are like me, that you have some days, some weeks, some months, some years where your meditation practice is really strong and really good, and you get a lot out of it, and it, feeds you and helps you and support you, followed by other times where it just is a dry spell, and it just seems like what is the purpose of all of this, And I think that with that kind of resilience, you kind of have that draw. It's like a moth to the flame. You're drawn to what that practice brings you. And sometimes we know that really, really well. We can point at it and say, this is why I meditate. But there are other times where sometimes that can be a little hard to really articulate, or hard to see what keeps us coming back to the mat time and time again. Now, I know, looking back at my life, I would have to say that probably some of the crises that I have been through, and I'm nothing special, but I certainly know, I know the valley really well, and I have a pretty good idea what the top of the mountain looks like. And, and so there is that kind of, you're drawn to the mat. And even when things are very difficult for you, sometimes the need to come to the mat is much greater. We come to drink deeply from these waters, and we get something truly, truly from it. And the thing that I like about that meditation practice is it does build up resilience in you as a person, as a whole, that hopefully that we don't drown in our anxieties. We have them, but we don't drown in them. We don't drown in those turbulent emotions. We have them, but we don't drown in them. We don't drown in our frustrations and our anger about the way things are happening in the world we live in. We feel them, and they're probably justified, but we don't drown in them. And so, why is it that with a sound meditation practice, sometimes we are just so able to keep our head above the water? And I think that one of the things that I know that I benefit from a lot is, you guys know that one of the fundamental aspects of Buddhist meditation is that ability just to observe those thoughts, observe your breathing, observe your body and such, and just to be mindful of it and watchful and such, and be in that present moment. And I think that as we build that skill up, every time we sit down to meditate, we identify with that mindfulness of observation, then I think that we have that ability to experience these challenges, these ups, these downs, these mountains, these valleys. We have that ability to experience these things and not be overwhelmed by them, and not drown in that. We all know somebody that is really going through incredibly rough time. It's just inevitable. Seems like it used to be the longer you live, the more you would know folks like this, but I think sometimes they're just around you all the time, it seems like. But I see that, and I have gone through that myself, and I have a pretty fair idea what it's like to drown and stay down for a while, right? But I know that when I meditate and I develop that ability to step back and to observe my thoughts, regardless of how chaotic they may be, or how angry they might be, or how crazy they might be, and I develop that ability to observe my emotional states, regardless of how angry that those states might be, or frustrated, or depressed, or anxious, and on and so forth. I observe those things. And what's interesting is, I think that as we observe these states of that we're in, that we step away from it a little bit, and it becomes less sticky. Now, I don't know if you ever have heard that phrase before, but sometimes we think about, thoughts, you'll hear this in meditation practice, where someone will say, the thoughts are sticky. They're like sticking to you. And which kind of is like, thinking about someone who you've run into that day that has, like at work, that has made you mad or angry or frustrated or whatever, and you're sitting down to meditate, and all that comes to your mind is that situation that happened. And those thoughts are sticky, and they're drawn to you and drawn to you. It's like a magnet just drawn to you. And I think every time that we meditate and we just observe it, we don't try to push it away. We don't try to put labels on it like good or bad or anything like that. We just observe it. And then I think that stickiness, it stops being so sticky. I mean, it's still there, but it's not something that we identify with so strongly that it becomes all we can see. We start to see around the edges of it a little bit. And what's interesting, with any problem or challenge that I think we're faced with, when we can see around the edges of it just a little bit, then it becomes less all-consuming for us. And I think maybe, you'll hear this phrase a lot in Buddhist practice, the equanimity of mind, that ability just to stay even keel, calm throughout most situations, then maybe that's what's happening. Maybe every time we sit and meditate and we relax and release a little bit and let go a little bit and observe all these states that we're in, then maybe they become less sticky. Maybe we can see around the edges of the problem. Then maybe the problem's not so big, and maybe our ability to find resolution becomes more of a possibility. Because certainly when we're drowning in a sea of frustration, it becomes very difficult to see resolution. When we keep our heads above the deep waters of frustration, let's say, then the ability to see resolution becomes much more possible. That becomes interesting because sometimes I have found that I can figure out the resolution of something, right? Or other times that the resolution, I'm able to clear myself enough so that the resolution can present itself through me. And then I participate in that, by lack of a better word, I participate in that healing moment a little bit. And maybe I'm the one that's healing because I just got so angry about something. Or maybe, the opportunity for healing to occur for that other person is there. And maybe healing is more than just what we think about it being a physical healing or whatever, but maybe healing is another way of saying it's finding balance, its own balance again. And so all of that being said, that as we develop these skills, our resilience certainly broadens out, and our ability to stay afloat and not to drown. And, when you're in a sea of drowning people, then someone's got to have their head above the water at least a little bit. And my guess is that if you have a meditation practice that you've cultivated over time, then you can become that person in that situation. I mean, see that as a possibility. So I offer that to you because I know that a lot of us come to a meditation practice because we're looking for balance. We're looking for something in our life that we're missing, and we're kind of driven to that, kind of thing. And that's perfectly, perfectly fine. That's what brings you to the mat. Now, what keeps you on the mat is not the problem, but actually the resolution, the healing that is the very thing that you're seeking. Think about that for a second, and kind of might help to facilitate your practice, my practice, when we think about why are we here? Why do we pursue this? Kind of thing. So, all right. So today we're just going to do our 10-minute meditation, and the idea of resilience is kind of like the key thought in this. And when you think of that in the meditation practice, what is it that you see? What does it mean to you to have resilience brought through your meditation practice? And think of that as your seed thought for today. And let's see if we can plant that seed and fertilize it and water it a little bit, get a little bit of sun, and let it grow and see what fruit that it might bear. So, all right. So let's go ahead and get ready to do our meditation. All right, I'm in a chair. Sometimes I'm sitting on a cushion. But where we are at, we know that the fundamental aspects of meditation, I got this quote, supposedly the Buddha said this, right? And he's talking to his disciples or his followers or people that were around him early on, and he's trying to teach them meditation. And what he said is, go to the root of a tree or an empty place, sit down, cross your legs, setting your back straight, and thus begin. So that's pretty good advice, I think. Let's do that. as I relax, I can feel my body begin to open up. My breathing begins to slow down. I feel a little bit more maybe in the moment. I'm not so busy thinking about things. As my breathing slows, it deepens and opens up a bit. And I can feel myself in the room I'm in. My own presence in the space I'm in. I can hear all of the noises in my environment. I become more aware of them. The cars, the birds, the building as it creaks, all of that. My breathing gets broader. My body becomes very relaxed and attentive. And here for the next several minutes, I'm going to work with that seed thought of resilience through meditation. And I invite you to join me.